So a few weeks ago, I made my first ever video review of a survival horror game, Resident Evil 3. Since I'm mainly a survival horror focused channel, I figured I'd do a retrospective on one of my favourite survival horror franchises of all time. Gravity Rush. Okay, I know what you're all thinking, but Gravity Rush isn't even in the survival horror genre. Well, I've got 3 reasons as to why it totally is, so listen up. Number 1. The series was created by Keiichiro Toyama. This handsome bastard also created the Silent Hill and Forbidden Siren video games. Coincidence? I think not. Number 2. The enemies can be pretty scary sometimes, I guess. And finally, number 3. So Gravity Rush was originally released in 2012 for the PlayStation Vita, and it was actually the first game I bought for the system. The Vita would go on to become my favourite handheld of all time, thanks in no small part to games like Gravity Rush and Persona 4 Golden. As mentioned earlier, the series was created by Keiichiro Toyama, and I really hope I haven't butchered the pronunciation of his name. Toyama was beginning to get tired of working solely on survival horror games, and wanted to expand his horizons a little. So upon completing development of Siren Blood Curse on PS3, he shifted his focus to creating a game unlike anything he had ever made before. Toyama first brought the idea for a game based around manipulating gravity to Sony in 2008. Back then, the game was simply called Gravite and was being made for the PS3. However, once Toyama learnt of Sony's plans to release a new handheld, the PS Vita, he knew he wanted to shift development over to that platform. A few years of hard work later, and we got Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush was released to critical acclaim and garnered a cult following. The cinematic that you are watching right now remains one of my favourite openings to any video game ever. It is also worth noting that the PS4 got a remastered version of this game in 2016. All the footage you are looking at right now is from my PS4 version, which is hands down the best way to play the game. The Gravity Rush, or Gravity Days if you're living in Japan, games follow the adventures of a young girl named Kat. Kat has amnesia at the beginning of the first game, and she awakens in a strange, almost dreamlike city called Hexville. Soon afterwards, she learns that the black cat that has been following her, later named Dusty, gives her the ability to shift gravity. So it's worth noting that Kat doesn't really have any superpowers of her own in this game. It's kinda the cat who does everything. Dusty is the real hero of these games. The opening of this game is really great at letting you empathise with Kat. Despite the fact that Kat has just saved this man's son, he is still furious at her because she wasn't able to save his house as well. Kat is as much of an outcast in this world as we are, and it's because of this fact that we really care about her and her current dilemma. The first few hours of the game can seem a bit slow at first. You spend a great deal of time helping the citizens of Hexville with rather mundane tasks, like collecting gems to power a fountain, and getting rid of their furniture so you can use it in your own home. And where does Kat live in this game? Well, the sewer, for some reason. There also isn't a huge amount of combat at the start of the game, and what is there is very simplistic compared to what comes later, but this is all very deliberate pacing. You see, it can take quite a bit of time to get used to controlling Kat. Her gravity shifting powers in particular can be a right pain in the neck to get used to at first. You see, contrary to what a lot of people may think, you don't actually fly in Gravity Rush. You're manipulating gravity so you can fall in a given direction. This means you can't change direction while you're falling, and movement with the left stick is also incredibly restrictive during this time. Let me explain. Okay, so to begin shifting gravity you press R1, okay? Now you aim the right stick to whichever direction you wish to shift gravity, and voila, you will begin falling in that direction. If you want to return gravity to normal, simply press L1. Combat in Gravity Rush mainly revolves around defeating these enemies called the Nevi. Most Nevi are defeated by destroying these orbs that are found in various parts of their body. To destroy these orbs, Kat can use ground-based attacks like kicks, or she can attack them from the sky with her gravity kick, which does far more damage. Kat will also get various special attacks throughout the game that can cause a huge amount of damage. Combat can be a little frustrating at first though. Many players will probably find themselves missing their target a lot in the beginning, which can be infuriating sometimes. Over time, however, the combat starts to feel a lot more natural, and you'll find yourself destroying all enemies on screen within a matter of moments. If there's one complaint I have about the combat, it's that it's far too easy. It's entirely possible you'll finish the game without dying a single time. Most enemies aren't much of a threat and just kinda wander around, waiting for you to kick the shit out of them. And if you do take a lot of damage, you can simply fly off and look for some health elsewhere. If you've come to Gravity Rush looking for a challenge, look elsewhere. I need to quickly mention the music in these games. The music was composed by Kohiya Tanaka, and oh my god, I love this man. In case you don't know, Tanaka also composed the incredible soundtrack for Alundra, and I highly recommend looking up his work when you have the time. The music in the Gravity Rush series is his best work in my honest opinion. It's memorable, upbeat, and it has this energy to it that's really hard to describe. It fits these games perfectly, and I couldn't imagine anyone better than Kohiya Tanaka to create this game's soundtrack. If there is one aspect that really plays to this game's strengths, it's the side quests. Most are simple time trials or combat arenas, but they are so damn fun to complete, and you even get some alternate costumes for Kat for completing some of them. Kat's gravity shifting powers make flying through the air at top speed exhilarating, and this makes the time trials some of the most fun I've had with the game. Hell, I even felt compelled to compete for a high score in some of them. I know it sounds like I'm praising the game left and right, but Gravity Rush is still far from perfect. Firstly, for what could be considered an open world game, the game is incredibly short. You could easily tear through the main campaign in under 6 hours if you really wanted to, and even with all the side activities, you're still not likely to get any more than 12 hours out of the game. Secondly, there are some areas in the game that are downright frustrating and not fun to play in the least. This area where Dusty gets sick is incredibly annoying, since you can only shift gravity for a few seconds at a time, and you will constantly find yourself falling into bottomless pits because of it. But those problems don't overshadow what is otherwise probably the second best superhero game I've ever played, if you can even call Gravity Rush such a thing. Definitely up there with Batman Arkham Asylum anyways. In part 2 of this retrospective, I will talk more about the things I love about Gravity Rush and its sequel, so I hope you look forward to that. Thank you.